You were told that if you work hard, save money, and play by the rules, you'll succeed. But what if those rules were written to keep you obedient, not free? What if the system you live in isn't broken, but functioning exactly as designed? Because the truth is, the system was built to keep you broke, not poor, productive, not starving, spending, not questioning, consuming. It's not conspiracy, it's construction. Let's start with the first architect of your financial cage, the school system. When you were a child, you didn't learn about money. You learned how to follow instructions, how to memorize, how to wait for permission. You were graded not on creativity, but on compliance. That wasn't an accident, it was training. The education system wasn't built to create thinkers. It was built during the industrial age to create workers. Factories needed discipline, governments needed predictability, and schools became assembly lines for human behavior. You sat in rows, you raised your hand for approval, you moved when the bell rang. You weren't educated, you were programmed. Now ask yourself, if school really prepared you for life, why did it teach you everything except money, psychology, and freedom? You learned geometry but not how to buy a house. You learned Shakespeare but not how credit works. You learned to fear failure but never to understand risk. Because people who understand risk can't be controlled. The system didn't need you wealthy, it needed you manageable. And that's where the next architect enters, the banks. Banks don't sell money, they sell debt. They discovered long ago that lending is more profitable than labor. If you lend $1 and demand $10 back, you create profit from thin air. That's modern alchemy, turning time into interest. So they built a culture around it. You borrow for school, for houses, for cars, for weddings, for things you don't even need. You call it progress. They call it lifetime revenue. Debt isn't just financial, it's psychological. It keeps you dependent. You can't rebel against a system when you owe it your future. That's why banks don't want you to default. They want you to exist in debt forever, stable enough to pay, tired enough to obey, and they make it sound noble. They call it good credit. But good credit is just proof that you've been a loyal servant in the kingdom of interest. If this already feels uncomfortable, pause for a moment and follow rich logic. Because here, we don't sugarcoat the system, we expose it. And once you see how it works, you'll never play the same game again. Now let's connect the third pillar, consumption. Once the schools taught obedience and the banks built dependency, there was one more step, to make you love your own captivity. That's the job of consumer culture. Advertising doesn't sell products, it sells identity. It teaches you to express your value through what you buy. It replaces self-worth with net worth. You don't buy shoes, you buy confidence. You don't buy cars, you buy status. You don't buy phones, you buy attention. The result? You work harder to afford symbols that prove you're doing well inside a system designed to make sure you never truly do. And who profits from this? The same people who designed it. You spend decades earning, paying interest to banks, paying taxes to governments, paying premiums to corporations, and at the end of your life, the system calls you middle class, as if that's an accomplishment. But the middle class is just the cushion between the rich and rebellion. You're meant to be comfortable enough not to fight, but busy enough not to think. The system doesn't need slaves anymore. It has consumers. Slaves were expensive. You had to feed them. Consumers pay for their own chains. You think you're free because you can choose your brand of phone, your brand of car, your brand of coffee. But all the while, your mind is branded. Freedom isn't the ability to choose between products. Freedom is the ability to create outside them. The illusion of progress hides the machinery of control. Every innovation is designed to extract more attention, more data, more dependency. Social media amplifies your insecurity. Advertising weaponizes your biology. Finance monetizes your future. Every scroll, every click, every purchase feeds a network of algorithms that learn how to keep you hungry. For things you don't need to impress people you don't know to sustain systems you don't control. If you're beginning to see it, like this video and subscribe to Rich Logic. Because this is what the wealthy already understand and what the system prays you never will. Now, let's go even deeper. The real purpose of school, banks, and consumption is to limit your time. Because time is the only currency they can't print. The system keeps you broke not by stealing your money, but by stealing your hours. Debt steals future time. Jobs sell present time. Distraction kills the time in between. That's why the rich obsess over buying time. Because once you control your time, you're untouchable. The poor rent it, the rich own it. Banks control the flow of money. Schools control the flow of minds. Consumption controls the flow of meaning. Together, they create a self-sustaining feedback loop. Schools teach you to chase stability. Banks lend you the illusion of it. Corporations sell you distractions to make it feel worth it. And while you play inside that cycle, the few who designed it keep expanding their reach. You see, the system doesn't evolve randomly. It adapts like a living organism. Every time people start to wake up, it invents a new product to sedate them. Crypto, streaming, social activism turned into hashtags. All marketed rebellion, prepackaged and harmless. Even your outrage is monetized now. Governments maintain order, banks maintain dependency, media maintains illusion. It's a perfect ecosystem of control, a simulation of freedom powered by invisible contracts. You're free to express yourself as long as it's profitable. You're free to vote as long as the real decisions are made above your salary grade. You're free to dream as long as your dreams fit inside their financing models. And yet, the system is fragile because all of it, money, markets, brands, authority, depends on one thing: your belief. When belief collapses, currencies fall, governments tremble, and markets burn. That's why every major institution spends billions not to teach truth, but to protect belief. They don't need you to understand, they just need you to trust. If you've made it this far, you're already dangerous, because awareness is the one currency the system can't inflate. So take a moment and follow rich logic, because once you understand the machinery, you stop being fuel and start becoming architect. Let's break down the psychology of obedience. The system runs on fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being behind. That fear drives consumption, keeps you working overtime, and silences the voice in your head that whispers, "This isn't freedom." But the irony is, you were never supposed to escape the system. You were supposed to identify with it. That's why the education system rewards memorization over innovation. That's why the job market rewards loyalty over creativity. That's why social media rewards comparison over confidence. Each layer trains you to externalize your value. You forget to measure yourself internally, so you spend your life chasing validation externally. The rich know something different. They play with the system, not inside it. They use banks for leverage, not loans. They use schools for connections, not credentials. They use consumption as signaling, not self-worth. They understand that power isn't about escaping the system. It's about understanding its architecture so deeply that you can bend it. That's what we do here at Rich Logic. We don't chase money, we dissect the machine that creates it. Because once you understand how the system keeps others broke, you learn how to make it work for you. Here's the truth no one tells you. The system will never collapse. It's too profitable to fail. But your participation in it is optional. You can step out of the loop by mastering the one thing the system can't predict: conscious choice. When you stop buying out of fear, stop working out of habit, stop believing out of tradition, you break its feedback loop. You become invisible to its control. So next time you wake up tired, scroll through endless ads, pay bills you don't remember agreeing to, and wonder why life feels like repetition, remember, it's not your fault. It's your programming. And programs can be rewritten. If this message woke something inside you, like this video, subscribe to Rich Logic, and share it with someone still trapped in the illusion. Because the system was never built to make you rich. It was built to make you reliable. The rich don't work harder, they just work outside the maze. And the moment you stop running for the cheese, you realize the maze was never real. Only the choice was.